Coming up, St. Anne's Catholic School teams up with Notre Dame University to enhance its bilingual education program.
It's a pretty cool start to the day, but as Bob Dylan once wrote, the times, they are a-changin'. We'll talk about those changes in the Skywatch Weather Center.
And the Ottawa County Fair is underway in Miami, Oklahoma.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So driving in this morning, saw this happen a couple of times, and I thought I'd just bring this PSA to the world. And it's a very important one from somebody who's driven late at night and very early in the morning. If it is not foggy, do not drive with your fog lights on because it is just as bad as having your brights on.
There you go.
Because I'll see people, they have their brights, and they turn them off, and then when they do, your fog lights kick in if they're set to on, and it's practically no change. So unless there's actual fog, the fog lights should not be on. I'm just trying to pass along a helpful tip.
I rarely, do you drive with your brights on all the time?
Well, not all the time. I mean, when there's cars coming at me, I attempt to disengage them.
I have a theory.
Okay.
I have a theory. Okay, so I need some wood here to knock on. We have some
this
wood.
thing I stand on is made of wood.
Okay, I'm gonna knock on that.
All right.
Because then you say you gotta knock on wood. I have hit a deer once in the 17 years that I've been driving to work. 16 years in the morning show, like during peak hours where deer would be out and about. And that deer decided to run into the side of my vehicle, so I don't think it applies to this situation. But I've always believed that you avoid the deer in the headlights if you drive with your lights on dim.
I've actually put thought into that because I've almost hit a couple of deer over the last few weeks.
A lot of people who drive at the same time whose deer they ran into a deer. I'm not talking about a deer running into the side of your vehicle because that doesn't apply to the lights. I don't know why they do that, but that you hit a deer from the front, they were blinded by the deer in the headlights look.
Right. Okay. And
I've asked them, have their lights been on bright or dim? I've had this conversation with so many people and they've all said bright. Their lights were on bright.
Interesting. Well, and I mean, they do say deer in the headlights. Maybe the bright light is slightly more distracting to them. Maybe it draws them in. Maybe they're like moths.
They're blinded deer in the headlights. Yeah. That
might be something we'll have to do some investigative journalism on. Find out exactly what causes deer to either just stare directly at your car or run directly into your car. Now, for running into the side, maybe it's the color of your car. Maybe your car is scented in such a way that...
Or you had a bullseye painted on it.
That's a possibility, too. Make sure if you've got one on there, you might want to paint over it. Consider a re-detailing of your car. So I did mention some changes. So we have a really nice start to the day this morning. It's pretty chilly, actually. Again, we mentioned it was going to be. It is 66 in Joplin right now. 66. That's in Joplin. Check out points to the north. Iola is at 60, 61 in Fort Scott. A little warmer to the south, though. Miami starting out at 68, 70 in Bentonville. Despite this cold start, it's going to warm up into the lower 90s yet again. We're going to have very clear skies. Make sure you come see us at the Ottawa County Fair. We'll tell you more about that a little bit later. Plus, tonight, some building clouds, not bad. Overnight lows yet again in the 60s, but it's going to start to warm up. And it's really going to warm up. And then it's going to really cool down again. And we'll talk about all that a little bit later in the long-range forecast. But we've got a little bit of a roller coaster here.
Welcome to the four states.
If you haven't lived here long enough, then this is what the normal trend is. So.
For sure. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, a Kansas man convicted of performing illegal autopsies has been permanently banned from doing business in the state and ordered to pay more than $700,000 in restitution and fines. 42-year-old Sean Parcells, who lived in Leawood and Topeka, was convicted in November for 3 felonies and 3 misdemeanors related to providing illegal autopsies in Wabaunsee County. He also pleaded guilty in May to 1 federal wire fraud charge related to the autopsies. The Wabaunsee County crimes took place in 2014 and 15. His sentencing is pending. St. Anne's Catholic School in Carthage partners with Notre Dame University to enhance its bilingual education program. The program focuses on teaching preschoolers how to write and speak in both English and Spanish. With the Hispanic community increasing within Carthage, St. Anne's wants them to keep their roots while growing.
Let's not make them get rid of their language. Let's take the language they have and add onto it. So they're not losing their identity, they're not losing their cultural identity, their language identity, but we're adding onto it to give greater growth.
St. Anne's is integrating bilingual lessons in the older grades as well. Well, some new teachers in McDonald County learned the ropes to teaching. The New Teachers Academy gives educators the chance to learn about several different programs that can help them in the classroom. One of the programs, called the New Teacher Mentor Program, pairs a new teacher with one who has several years of experience. The program is not only beneficial for the teachers, but it can be beneficial for students as well.
New Teacher Academy onboards them, so to speak, with the technology, and they get to meet other new teachers, so they're not alone, and they get to meet their mentors and their principals, and it's just a time to collaborate together prior to going into the classroom, and we certainly don't want all of those things happening the very first day of school.
Teachers learn more about computer systems the district uses, including the new student information system the district is using this year. The Ottawa County Fair is underway this week in Miami. So far, there have been events like a tractor driving contest and animal shows with goats, cattle, and sheep shown on Wednesday. Carnival rides are also open all week.
The most fun I've had is on the zero gravity, and the worst fun I've had is on this one behind me, because I just puked and it kind of hurt.
Ouch. Well, the fair will run through Saturday. You can also expect to see KOAM live at the Ottawa County Fair. Our More Power project is complete, and it's time to celebrate. The first stop on the More Power to You tour is tonight in Miami, Oklahoma. We will broadcast our 5 and 6 o'clock newscasts live from the Ottawa County Fair. Stop by to win a Roku and be in the drawing for Kansas City Chiefs tickets. Joplin's Bright Futures honors 2 fallen JPD officers through a scholarship. The Officer Jake Reed Memorial Scholarship and the Corporal Ben Cooper Memorial Scholarship will be for 2 Joplin High School graduates majoring in criminal justice at Missouri Southern. On Wednesday, Bright Futures hosted a ceremony donating more than $3,500 to each fund.
What really humbles me is that I have the opportunity in this horrible tragedy to do my part to remember them and to try to keep their story alive. And then by this scholarship, these students understanding what it is to go out and to do the job and why it's important to be professional and why it's important to be the best that you can.
Scholarship is funded from the proceeds of Bright Futures' annual Guns and Hoses benefit basketball game.
Quick check of that 7-day forecast does show where that warming trend begins this weekend. We heat up nicely, if you like the heat, into the lower 100s by Sunday and Monday, and then check out what happens Tuesday, Wednesday, storms build in. Look at how quickly those temperatures drop into the mid-80s. So, like I said, it's going to get hot, it's going to be dry, it's going to be sunny, and then here comes another system to say, you know what? Here's a break for you.
All right.
That kid's interview, oh my gosh. that was the
most
best.
fun he had was on this ride, and the worst fun he had was on the one behind me where I just threw up.
And I love he's still able to do an interview right after that. It just like, hey man, that was fun. Except that one sucks. I don't like that one so much.
That was good. That
Neither
was
does
really
the
good.
kid behind me.
All right, well, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, we take a sneak peek at Lamar's football team.
Plus, from Utah to Japan, there's cool things to be discovered. We'll have what these cool things are if you stick with us.
And there are now 10,000 cases of monkeypox in the United States. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Lamar Tigers are halfway through their first week of football, fall football practice. Now, Lamar is coming off a 13-1 season in 2021, finishing up as the Missouri Class II state runner-up. But now to this year, Tigers are in their 3rd season under head coach Jared Bashore. Since he took over, they went 25-2 overall, winning the state title in 2020. This fall, they have some talented guys back, especially at the skill positions, guys like Joel Bashore, Austin Wilkerson, and Logan Crockett. In camp, their focus is finding some big guys up front who can let those skill guys do what they do.
We've always had the mentality here of you win and you lose with the guys up front, and so we put all of our effort into developing those guys. I think we've got some guys that have been stepping up, got some young guys that are learning and kind of going through the ropes and holding on with our veteran guys. We do have a couple guys that we do return up front on the offensive line, have a couple guys returned on the defensive line. So those guys are really just trying to bring the inexperienced guys along with them and just learn as they go.
Now, if you want to read more about Lamar or 62 other local football teams, well, we've got some great news for you. Our 2022 Pigskin Preview is out. Like last year, it's fully digital. You can find it at koamnewsnow.com/pigskin, or you can scan that QR code right down there, and that'll take you to it. 59 local high schools, 2 junior colleges, plus Pitt State, Missouri Southern. It's all in there. Check it out, koamnewsnow.com/pigskin or the KOAM News Now app. Well, the Webb City Little League baseball team is in the Midwest Regional Tournament semifinals. Webb City faces Davenport, Iowa, with a spot in Friday's regional championship on the line. Brock Holstein, great start on the mound for Webb City. Here in the top of the third, gets the strikeout to end the inning. More from Holstein in a moment. Bottom 3, Webb City down 1-0, but Brady Holland, I thought he hit this one out, man. Off the wall, out there and right. 2-run score. Holland in there for the triple. That gives Webb City the lead, and they would not give it back. In the 6th, Holstein still on the mound. Gets the fly ball for the final out. Brock Holstein, complete game with 5 strikeouts. Webb City beats Davenport 3-1. They are now just 1 win away from a trip to the Little League World Series. Still to come, the U.S. returns stolen antiques to Cambodia, and we'll take a quick look at that forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. All right, so the Skywatch storm tracker is pretty clear right now, and it's going to stay that way for the next several days. You got to go again pretty far out to find any kind of precipitation. 7th in range line, it is clear, it is chilly by August standards. So, I mean, I know it's not cold, but for August to the 10th, it's chilly out there. Sorry, August 11th. Every morning I'm a day behind. 66 in Joplin right now. We are starting our day, all of us pretty much, in the 60s, except for Bentonville. They're the warm spot at 70. But check out Iola at 60 degrees, 61 in Fort Scott. We got upper 60s as you head further south and along I-44. As we go through the day today, temperatures are going to warm up again into the lower 90s. Again, a bit warmer today than it was yesterday, but not by much. Clear skies otherwise. And make sure you come see us at the Ottawa County Fair. In fact, we'll be there at noon today as well. We go through the evening, another chilly night ahead of us as we dip back into the 60s yet again. And I want to show you the 7-day forecast very quickly. There's not much to show you on the future track, by the way, right now. We start to warm up even more as we head into the weekend, pushing the lower 100s by Sunday and Monday. And then storm chances build in Tuesday into Wednesday, and they drop those temperatures back down into the mid-80s. So, yeah, it's going to get hot for a few days, and then we're going to get another break from all of it by next week. Well, desert discovery left over from the Ice Age could allow scientists to dip their toes into uncharted archaeological waters. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
Scientists in Utah have discovered ancient footprints believed to be 12,000 years old, still preserved in a Utah riverbed. 88 fossilized bear footprints belonging to adults and children were found inadvertently by a pair of scientists on an unrelated study in the Utah Test and Training Range, a remote military testing area. Experts say this is only the second set of human tracks from the Ice Age ever to be identified in what is now the United States. The other discovery was in 2021 in White Sands National Park in New Mexico. Scientists say footprints record a specific type of evidence that can't be obtained from other fossil records, such as the size, numbers, and specific movements of ancient groups. A remote Japanese town is gaining fame thanks to leftovers from a bygone era. Sagamihara is home to a local business sporting more than 70 vintage vending machines, still slinging goodies and goods on the go. Most of the site's restored models are from the 70s and 80s and are regularly stocked fresh, serving everything from beverages to hamburgers to hot bowls of soup. But you can also find toys, batteries, and even camera film. Retro! For fans of speedy snacks and bizarre bric-a-brac, this place is Vintage Vending Machine Valhalla. Finally, speaking of snacking, watch a hippo at the San Antonio Zoo absolutely crush a large watermelon snack literally and figuratively. There's no real news here, I just thought it was impressive. It's also exactly what I look like when I eat watermelon. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Jeremy Roth, I feel ya. I look just like that when I eat watermelon. Well, that brings us to our something to talk about. Where's somewhere that you'd like to travel? Is it somewhere stateside, the UK, Japan, France, Germany, maybe some other place? Make sure you vote, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Do so in the app and take part in the discussion and maybe find a future destination on our Facebook page. We're back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, U.S. monkeypox cases have doubled in less than 2 weeks. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says more than 10,000 people had a virus as of Wednesday afternoon. The country had 5,000 cases less than 2 weeks ago, and the first U.S. case was reported less than 3 months ago. Right now, Wyoming is the only state that has not reported any cases. New York has the most, followed by California and Florida. Actor Ashton Kutcher revealed this week his battle with a debilitating disease called vasculitis is the same condition that took the life of another actor and director, Harold Ramis, in 2014. That's according to his agents. Mandy Gaither has more on the disease and how it's treated.
In a new episode of National Geographic's Running Wild with Bear Grylls, Ashton Kutcher describes a debilitating disease he says he battled 2 years ago.
Knocked out my vision, knocked out my hearing, and knocked out like all my equilibrium. It took me like a year to build it all back up.
Kutcher says it was a super rare form of vasculitis, a condition where the body's immune system attacks veins, arteries, and small capillaries. The resulting inflammation narrows those blood vessels, restricting or even cutting off blood flow. It could cause organ damage or create aneurysms, according to the National Institutes of Health.
You don't really appreciate it until it's gone, until you go, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to see again. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to hear again. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to walk again.
Symptoms can vary from mild to life-threatening depending on the type and severity of the condition and can include loss of appetite, weight loss, fatigue, rash, aches and pains, and fever. Vasculitis can happen alone or in conjunction with other diseases like rheumatoid arthritis and lupus. Having hepatitis B or C can also be a trigger, as can blood cancers.
What an ordeal. Talk about strength through adversity.
Lucky to be alive.
Lucky to be alive.
Treatment is aimed at reducing inflammation. For mild cases, over-the-counter pain medicines can help. For more severe cases, doctors may prescribe steroids, monoclonal antibodies, and medicines to suppress or modify the immune system. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
All right, quick check outside at 7th and Rangeline. Skies are clear, and it is a cool but crisp start to this day in August. 66 in Joplin right now. So you look across the board, Iola's picked up a degree, but there's still the cool spot at 61. We still have the warm spot of Bentonville at 70 degrees. Otherwise, we're sweeping the 60s across the board. As we go through the day, temperatures will slowly warm back up into the lower 90s, so a pinch warmer today than it was yesterday. Clear skies all around, though, and make sure, as we've been mentioning, that you come see us at the Ottawa County Fair for our More Power Tour. It's a very exciting thing. As we go through the overnight, temperatures drop again into the 60s. Maybe some passing clouds with a nice east breeze at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. There are changes on the way, which we'll discuss a little later when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Coming up, St. Anne's Catholic School teams up with Notre Dame University to enhance its bilingual education program.
A clear, cool start to the day for all of us, but it is going to warm up. The latest in the Skywatch Weather Center.
And the Ottawa County Fair is underway in Miami, Oklahoma.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 5:29. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. It is 5:29.
It is.
We're pushing up on 5:30. It's almost there. It's a beautiful start to the day. So I like storms. Don't necessarily like severe storms. We don't need to have, golf ball size hail and all that other crazy stuff, but I do like thunderstorms. And there's a video, and I can't show it to you because the guy specifically marked it as not for broadcast.
Oh, man.
And I respect that, even though I probably could pull it up and he'd never know, but that's not the point. He said not for broadcast, but if you search on YouTube, approaching thunderstorms, all you have to do, you should be able to come across it pretty easily. It's a guy who also, like me, is a rail fan, and he's out filming trains, and while he's waiting for one, a storm rolls in. And so he sets up his camera out in a field and just rolls as this thunderstorm slowly starts to roll in. So you see the dark clouds in the distance, and you hear the thunder, see some lightning, and it's just a nice, just kind of soothing little thing. If you need to fall asleep, it's not a bad one to fall asleep to.
Do you know where it was shot at?
Harperville, Illinois.
Very neat.
Yeah, so we don't have any of that in our forecast right now. It's 7th and Range Line. It's pretty clear. It's going to stay that way for a few days, and it is a pretty cool start to the day in Joplin. It is 66 down there right now, and across the area, we're sitting in the lower to mid-60s and 70 degrees being the warm spot in Bentonville. Now, as we go through the day, temperatures will warm up into the lower 90s. It's going to be a pinch warmer today than it was yesterday, but clear skies all around, and we want you to come see us at the Ottawa County Fair tonight. Tanya's going to tell you more about that a little bit later. So, but not a bad day. Clear skies, not a cloud. There's no clouds expected. It's just going to be pretty decent. Just warm or hot. To me, that's hot, but it's going to be nice.
Oh, yeah. Anything in the 90s is hot.
Yeah.
Especially out here when you have humidity to add to it
Oh,
as
yeah.
well.
For me, anything above about 80 degrees is hot. So it's hot, but it's not bad for August yet.
We're used to it by this point.
Unfortunately so. July really kicked our butts, didn't it? Mm-hmm. It made us just wish for fall and winter, and then of course winter will get here, and then we'll realize that we hate winter just as much as we hate the summer.
True that.
Because 10 degrees doesn't feel any better than 90 degrees.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, a Kansas man convicted of performing illegal autopsies is permanently banned from doing business in the state and ordered to pay more than $700,000 in restitution and fines. 42-year-old Sean Parcells, who lived in Leawood and Topeka, was convicted in November for 3 felonies and 3 misdemeanors related to providing illegal autopsies in Wabaunsee County. He also pleaded guilty in May to 1 federal wire fraud charge related to the autopsies. The Wabaunsee County crimes took place in 2014 and 2015. His sentencing is set for September. Some new teachers in McDonald County learn the ropes to teaching. The New Teachers Academy gives new teachers the chance to learn about several different programs that can help them in the classroom. One of the programs, called the New Teacher Mentor Program, pairs a new teacher with one who has several years of experience. The program is not only beneficial for the teachers, but it can be beneficial for students as well.
We're also securing more of the outside entrances with keyless entry access codes across the district. And we're also doing specialized training for staff and teachers to be able to recognize behavioral risks before they even happen. So this is just one part of a many-pronged approach to make sure that our students and our staff are safe.
Teachers also learn more about computer systems the district uses, including the new student information system that it's using this year. Some folks took advantage of the nice weather and went out to the Ottawa County Fair in Miami yesterday. The fair has a variety of shows for animals, including the chance to show off your dog, rabbits, cattle, and sheep. Now, winning the sheep show isn't the only thing that matters to competitors.
I would say probably the working with the animal and making the relationship with the animal, and then the end result of the winning.
The fair will run through Saturday, and you can also expect to see KOAM live at the Ottawa County Fair. Our More Power project is complete, and it's time to celebrate. The first stop on our More Power to You tour is tonight in Miami, Oklahoma. We will be broadcasting our 5 and 6 o'clock newscast live from the Ottawa County Fair. So stop by to win a Roku TV and be in the drawing for Kansas City Chiefs tickets. A Catholic school in Carthage, Missouri partners with Notre Dame University to help students learn English while keeping their native roots. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
St. Anne Catholic School in Carthage, Missouri understands that learning a new language can be difficult while you're still adjusting to a new school and a new culture. That's why they're partnering with Notre Dame University to enhance their bilingual education program.
There's 2 teachers in the room, and they will do 2.5 days in Spanish and 2.5 days in English, and that's in the preschool room.
With help from Notre Dame University, the bilingual program will be in all classrooms, not just preschool.
And that will be the whole school year. Then the goal for next year is to move into our kindergarten room and start making it bilingual so the kiddos who are in our preschool will continue, and we'll kind of build from there.
St. Anne helps students grow starting where they're at.
We have a mix, like a lot of kids that speak only English, but they lose their Spanish, and it's because, well, they have older siblings, and it's just, well, then they have their parents that don't speak English, and so we kind of try to help them, they need to know both languages, I feel like, to even communicate just at home.
This bilingual program truly values both languages and encourages students to add to their identity.
Let's not make them get rid of their language. Let's take the language they have and add onto it. So they're not losing their identity, they're not losing their cultural identity, their language identity, but we're adding onto it to give greater growth.
Reporting in Carthage, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
The bilingual program starts on the first day of school. Joplin's Bright Futures honors 2 fallen JPD officers through a scholarship. The Officer Jake Reed Memorial Scholarship and the Corporal Ben Cooper Memorial Scholarship will be for 2 Joplin High School graduates majoring in criminal justice at Missouri Southern. On Wednesday, Bright Futures hosted a ceremony donating more than $3,500 to each fund.
What really humbles me is that I have the opportunity in this horrible tragedy to do my part to remember them and to try to keep their story alive. And then by this scholarship, these students understanding what it is to go out and to do the job and why it's important to be professional and why it's important to be the best that you can.
Scholarship is funded from the proceeds of Bright Futures' annual Guns and Hoses benefit basketball game.
Quick check of the future track shows nothing really other than some passing clouds and cool temperatures tonight, but you will notice tomorrow that it gets much warmer, and a look at that 7-day shows how much warmer it's going to get. Highs pushing into the lower 100s as we wrap up the weekend and head into next week. But then we have a backdoor cold front coming through Tuesday into Wednesday, and not only will it bring us rain chances, but it also brings us considerably cooler temperatures. So a little bit of heat, and then we get another break.
Well, perfect temperatures to do some traveling.
Yes, in fact, that's what we're talking about this morning, isn't it?
Yeah, from Utah to Japan, there are cool things everywhere being discovered. In Utah, for example, scientists discovered what is believed to be 12,000-year-old footprints still preserved in a Utah riverbed. 88 fossilized barefoot prints belonging to adults and children were found inadvertently by a pair of scientists on an unrelated study.
Now, in Utah, in the Utah Test and Training Range, or remote military testing areas where they found these, experts say this is only the second set of human tracks from the Ice Age ever to be identified in what is now, of course, the United States. The other discovery was in 2021 in White Sands National Park in New Mexico. Then in Japan, there's a remote Japanese town that's gaining fame thanks to leftovers from a bygone era. Sagamihara is home to a local business sporting more than 70 vintage vending machines, still slinging goodies and goods on the go. The models are from the 70s and 80s, but they have everything from food to camera film. That brings us to our something to talk about. With all these cool things to see, where's somewhere that you want to travel? Do you want to stay stateside? Maybe visit the UK, Japan, France, Germany, maybe somewhere else. So far, 40% of you say you'd rather stay stateside. 30% of you say you'd like to visit Japan. Another 20% saying you're going to go to the UK. Make sure you vote, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Do so in the app. And then maybe find a future travel destination on our Facebook page in the discussion.
Where would you like to travel?
I don't like to fly. I've never been in an airplane. We've talked about that
Yeah.
before. Yeah, I have never flown.
What about by train? I know you like trains.
I don't know even about that. I like watching them. I don't know about being on one. I'd like to take, we took a school trip to Chicago back in my junior year in 2003, 2004.
I'm assuming by bus.
Yes, by bus. It was a long bus ride, but well worth it. I want to take the family to Chicago because it was a very incredible place to see for somebody who's from this part of the country. Chicago was just absolutely amazing.
There's a lot of cool places to go in the U.S., that's for sure.
Someday
I will make it to Europe.
For those of
Someday.
you who are like me, who don't like to fly, maybe don't really like to go international, there are a lot of cool places in the U.S. to visit.
In the meantime, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, we meet a boy who collected almost 6,000 stuffed animals for children in Ukraine.
Plus, Russia threatened to pull out of the International Space Station. However, NASA says the country committed to 2024 and beyond. On the latest.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, despite threats to stop its support of the International Space Station, NASA says Russia is committed to it beyond 2024. In July, Russian leaders implied they would leave the space station after the year 2024, prompted by tensions over their invasion of Ukraine. But now the Russian space agency, Roscosmos, is saying perhaps something was lost in translation. NASA maintains it has a good working relationship with Roscosmos and will even fly a Russian cosmonaut on a SpaceX rocket next month. Recently, NASA, the Canadian Space Agency, and the European Space Agency, along with the Japan Exploration Agency and Roscosmos, had a planning meeting. Each agency confirmed it would continue to work with their individual governments on planning missions beyond 2024. United States is returning a number of looted antiquities to Cambodia. Officials with the Departments of Justice and Homeland Security say 30 items, including statues and sculptures, are now back in the hands of Cambodian officials. The items were stolen during civil conflicts from temples, palaces, and archaeological sites. The pieces then entered the international art market through an organized looting network. Among the antiquities was this one, a 10th century sculpture of the deity Skanda on a peacock. Other works of art include sandstone and bronze sculptures ranging in age from the Bronze Age to the 12th century. An Iranian man has been charged for an alleged assassination plot against former National Security Advisor John Bolton. That's according to the Justice Department. Meredith Wood has the latest.
The U.S. Justice Department has charged this man, 45-year-old Shahram Persafi, for an alleged plot to assassinate John Bolton. The suspect has not been arrested and remains at large. He's an Iranian national and member of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps who allegedly tried to pay $300,000 to individuals in the U.S. to kill Bolton, according to the Justice Department.
If this doesn't show anything about Iran's willingness to try and intimidate its adversaries, I don't know what else to say. I think we ought to put the kibosh on these negotiations and deal with the growing threat that Iran poses and not try to appease them.
Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was also a target, according to a federal law enforcement source familiar with the investigation and a source close to Pompeo. The DOJ says the suspect had a, quote, second job for $1 million.
This was not an idle threat. And this is not the first time we have uncovered brazen acts by Iran to exact revenge against individuals on U.S. soil.
The alleged assassination plot is likely in retaliation for the 2020 U.S. airstrike that killed top Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Commander Qasem Soleimani, according to the Justice Department. Korsafani is being charged with the use of interstate commerce facilities in the commission of murder for hire and providing and attempting to provide material support for a transnational murder plot.
The facts we allege are clear and chilling.
Earlier on Wednesday, Bolton releasing this statement on Twitter, thanking the Justice Department, FBI, and Secret Service for their efforts. I'm Meredith Wood reporting.
That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A Kansas man convicted of performing illegal autopsies is permanently banned from doing business in the state and ordered to pay more than $700,000 in restitution and fines. 42-year-old Sean Parcells, who lived in Leawood and Topeka, was convicted in November for 3 felonies and 3 misdemeanors related to providing illegal autopsies in Wabaunsee County. He also pleaded guilty in May to 1 federal wire fraud charge related to the autopsies. The Wabaunsee County crimes took place in 2014 and 2015. His sentencing is set for September. Barton County Memorial Park in Lamar is in the process of adding new veteran monuments. 3 of the 7 monuments have been installed so far. They're not only for area veterans, but a tribute to veterans all over the world. Joe Davis, president of the Barton County Memorial Park Board, says the idea of making the monuments triangle-shaped was a unique one. With the new school year starting, the McDonald County school leaders are making sure they put the safety of students first by updating the camera security systems. The new cameras will give better and more clear locations and allow school leaders to better monitor inside and outside the schools. The district will install around 350 cameras, which includes all buildings. And St. Anne's Catholic School in Carthage partners with Notre Dame University to enhance its bilingual education program. The program focuses on teaching preschoolers how to write and speak in English and Spanish. With the Hispanic community increasing within Carthage, St. Anne's wants them to keep their roots while growing. And that's a check of today's top headlines. The news you need to know before you head out the door.
And as you head out the door this morning, it is pretty cool. 60 in Iola, 64 in Pittsburgh, 66 in Joplin, with the warm spot being Bentonville, sitting at 70 degrees this morning, but not bad for August the 11th. Now, as we go through the day, it's going to warm up, and it's going to be a bit warmer than it was yesterday, but just a pinch. Highs pushing into the lower 90s, but here's the thing. Clear skies expected. Nothing but sun all around. And then, of course, we're reminding you to make sure you come out and see us at the Ottawa County Fair for our 5 and 6 o'clock newscast. There's a lot going on with that. You can even enter to win Chiefs tickets. It's all associated with our More Power Tour. As we go through the night, temperatures drop back into the 60s, so it'll be a pretty nice evening yet again. Maybe some passing clouds with a nice east breeze. The future track doesn't really have much to show us in terms of precipitation, but it does show us at least some temperatures. And as we head into tomorrow, there's comes these passing clouds overnight. And then it's really going to heat up by tomorrow as highs start to push into the mid-90s, maybe even some upper 90s for some of us. And a look at the 7-day forecast shows the warming trend continues as we head into the weekend. Highs pushing into lower 100s. And then a backdoor cold front makes its way in here Tuesday into Wednesday. Not only does it bring us rain chances, it also brings the temperatures way down. So all we got to do is get through a few days of unpleasant temperatures before we get another break from the heat. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Well, a Florida boy is on a mission to bring some comfort to children in Ukraine.
The 11-year-old is partnering with businesses and the YMCA to collect stuffed animals to send to kids from the war-torn country.
Ashley Harding met the boy to help share his message.
By most accounts, Sage Goodall is a typical 11-year-old. He has a ton of energy and a big personality.
Mommy! I'm stuck!
But none of that compares to the size of his heart. A heart measured in stuffed animals. It started simple enough.
Just one day, I was just in my living room, just minding my own business, watching TV. CNN came on and it was saying about all these kids from Ukraine because of all their houses being blown up.
That's when Sage and his mom Rhonda decided to launch Hugs for the Children of Ukraine. Each donated stuffed toy will go to a child impacted by the war.
They need to feel what the normal kids of the world feel when they can hug on to something when they're scared or sad.
They stored their first collections in the family living room.
They have people.
But then the YMCA of Northeast Florida got on board. Its branches became donation sites, and each new toy is like a hug from thousands of miles away. Rhonda is still overwhelmed by the response.
The thought of a child, as Sage says, hugging on to one of these and being able to walk around, carry it around with them, they are every bit as special as every single person.
With this response comes a message from Sage to his fellow kids. Every child is special. Show kindness.
Everyone's the same. They're just human beings that God created them, and they need to realize that don't think about yourself, think about others and before you.
Making it positively Jack's difference, one hug at a time.
Well, Sage and the YMCA managed to collect nearly 6,000 stuffed animals to ship to Ukrainian children.
And he's not done yet. Sage is setting new goals with plans to continue collecting. And see, it just goes to show how many good people there are, how many good kids there are in the world.
And thank you to everyone who donated for this cause, too.
Absolutely. We got another check of your forecast right after this. Skywatch Storm Tracker shows us nothing, but I wanted to tell you real quick about the backdoor cold front and kind of tell you what that is. So typically, our cold fronts come from the northwest and they sweep across to the southeast. This one's actually going to come from the northeast and build back slightly southwest. Now, that's what's going to bring some changes to our forecast, but before we get there, we got some unpleasant temperatures to deal with. But not today and not this morning. 66 in Joplin right now, an absolutely gorgeous start to the day. As you can see, we're all sitting in those 60s. Iola is at 60, with Bentonville the warmest spot at 70 degrees. And as we go through the day, temperatures will warm up back into the lower 90s, just a pinch warmer than yesterday. Clear skies otherwise all around. And then, of course, make sure you come and see us at the Ottawa County Fair for our More Power Tour. Temperatures dropping back off into the 60s tonight. Maybe some passing clouds. And a look at the 7-day does show where that warming trend begins tomorrow, runs through the weekend, lower 100s. And then the backdoor cold front gets in Tuesday and the Wednesday, brings us rain and storm chances. We're back after this.
Coming up, McDonald County kicks off the school year with an eye on increased camera security systems.
The sun saying hello this morning with a beautiful sunrise, but it's also saying, I got a surprise for you. We'll tell you all about it in the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Bright Futures host a ceremony in honor of 2 fallen Joplin police officers and to fund scholarships in their names.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
You are, right?
I am.
Okay, good.
And you're Chris Warner.
I believe so. That's a good way to start the day. We know who we are, and that is an excellent way to start the day. Now the question becomes, do you know where you are? It's those old, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? It's 6 a.m. Do you know who you are? I think that's an accurate question for this time of day.
I think once they get their shower, they've had a cup of coffee, then they can say yes.
Right, that's why I'm saying. So like if you're just waking up, you're rolling out of bed, you just flipped on the TV, here we show up, it's 6 a.m. Do you know who you are? This public service announcement brought to you by the Skywatch Weather Center, which is showing this beautiful sunrise at 7th and Range Line, and it is a nice, crisp, almost fall-like start to the day. 66 in Joplin. We are pushing into the lower to mid-60s for most of us, with Bentonville still holding out as the warm spot at 70 degrees this morning. As we go through the day, temperatures will creep back up into the lower 90s, and it is abundant sunshine. If that was not clear from the tower cam shot, I'm letting you know, abundant sunshine. Make sure you also come see us. We've been telling you about it all morning. At the Ottawa County Fair at 5 and 6 tonight, all the evening folks will be out there. Tanya and I will be asleep, but it'll be a lot of fun for our More Power Tour. Which Tanya will also tell you about as well. And if she doesn't, I'll remind you again, because that's what I do. As we go into the overnight hours, temperatures dropping back into the 60s, maybe some passing clouds, another nice cool night, but there are changes on the way. But they're brief changes before there's more changes. This goes back to the, if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. So we've got changes, and then right after those changes come more changes.
Yep.
It's an active week in terms of temperatures, at least, in the 4 states. And we'll talk to you about that here in just a couple more minutes. We'll take a look at that long-range forecast for you and let you know about what them changes are.
Sounds like a plan.
Every so often, my inner Ozark comes out. So for those that haven't, learned yet, I am from Joplin, born and raised, and I've been in news for long enough that usually I'm speaking here very clearly about how the day is going, and it's going to be a very newsy day. But every so often, especially with weather, because there's a lot more just casual reading, my inner Ozark comes out. And I start to sound a little more like I am from the area, because I just told you we're going to tell you about them changes. It just happens.
I'm from Southwest Kansas.
So, see, we just got to let your hair down, or grow your hair, whichever you can do.
I think it's time to move on, Chris.
It might be. You've got some news to tell us about.
Yes. All right, well, a Kansas man convicted of performing illegal autopsies has been permanently banned from doing business in the state and ordered to pay more than $700,000 in restitution and fines. 42-year-old Sean Parcells, who lived in Leawood and Topeka, was convicted in November for 3 felonies and 3 misdemeanors related to providing illegal autopsies in Wabaunsee County. He also pleaded guilty in May to 1 federal wire fraud charge related to the autopsies. The Wabaunsee County crimes took place in 2014 and 2015. His sentencing is set for September. With the new school year starting, McDonald County school leaders are making sure they put the safety of students first by updating the school's camera security systems. The new cameras will give better and more clear locations and allow school leaders to better monitor inside and outside the schools. The district will install around 350 cameras, which includes all buildings.
We're also securing more of the outside entrances with keyless entry access codes across the district. And we're also doing specialized training for staff and teachers to be able to recognize behavioral risks before they even happen. So this is just one part of a many-pronged approach to make sure that our students and our staff are safe.
The district also looks to hire 3 new school security officers. Joplin's Bright Futures is honoring 2 fallen JPD officers through a scholarship. The Officer Jake Reed Memorial Scholarship and the Corporal Ben Cooper Memorial Scholarship will be for 2 Joplin High School graduates majoring in criminal justice at Missouri Southern. On Wednesday, Bright Futures hosted a ceremony where they donated more than $3,500 to each fund.
What really humbles me is that I have the opportunity in this horrible tragedy to do my part to remember them and to try to keep their story alive. And then by this scholarship, these students understanding what it is to go out and to do the job and why it's important to be professional and why it's important to be the best that you can.
Scholarship is funded from the proceeds of Bright Futures' annual Guns and Hoses benefit basketball game. Former President Donald Trump is questioned under oath. It was in connection with a civil investigation by the state of New York into alleged fraud by the Trump Organization. But as Trinity Chavez reports, he used his constitutional right to provide no answers. And according to CNBC, he did so more than 440 times.
When Donald Trump was running for office in 2016, he had strong words for anyone taking the Fifth Amendment.
You see, the mob takes the Fifth. If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
On Wednesday, the former president did just that, invoking his Fifth Amendment right time and again in an hours-long deposition with New York State Attorney General Letitia James. Her civil investigation is looking into whether Trump's real estate businesses inflated the value of their assets, including his apartment in New York's Trump Tower. Trump has denied the allegations and on social media offered his reasons for not answering questions. When your family, your company, become the targets of an unfounded, politically motivated witch hunt, you have no choice.
In civil cases, when you have potential criminal liability elsewhere, it's common and expected to have lawyers instruct their clients to take the Fifth Amendment, to not say anything that potentially could be used in a criminal case against them.
The New York Attorney General's office said it will pursue the facts and the law wherever they may lead. Our investigation continues. The deposition follows Monday's unprecedented FBI search of Trump's Florida home, which was unrelated to the New York investigation. Agents spent 9 hours in the residence and searched an office for documents that could contain classified information. It's believed the documents were removed from the White House when Trump moved out in 2021. Trinity Chavez, CBS News, New York.
Other investigations into former President Trump include a criminal inquiry by the Manhattan District Attorney into his businesses there. There's also a Georgia probe into his alleged efforts to overturn the state's 2020 election results. And there's a federal grand jury hearing witness testimony about Trump's activities related to the 2020 vote. Well, light those candles, because on this date back in 1973, hip hop was born in the Bronx during, appropriately enough, a birthday party.
Now, that historic party was at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, and the man who presided over it was the birthday girl's brother, Clive Campbell, better known to history as DJ Kool Herc, founding father of hip-hop. Now, DJ Kool Herc's signature innovation came from using the 2 turntables in a typical DJ setup, not as a way to make a smooth transition between 2 records, but as a way to switch back and forth repeatedly between 2 copies of the same record, extending the short drum break that the crowd most wanted to hear. He called this trick the merry-go-round. Today it is known as the break beat, and it established the foundation for what we know as hip-hop, a full 6 years before the term entered the popular vocabulary. See, we don't have any sound. We need a sound effects board in the back so that as we do this, we're not trying to do it ourselves, because it'd be cooler.
It would be.
WGN in Chicago for their
You do
morning
that,
show.
and I'll do the air guitar.
Little mime activity taking place this morning. I hope you all heard that at home. That was the best jam I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, you know it.
It was perfect. It was
sounded
great.
great in my head.
I was there. I was there. You're going to be there with the temperatures. So we head into tonight. We got passing clouds, another cool night, and then tomorrow those clouds will stick around a bit, but they don't stop the temperatures from warming back up into the mid-90s. Quick check of the 7-day forecast shows temperatures getting into the lower 100s by the weekend, and then a backdoor cold front swings in from the northeast, brings us rain chances and a break from the heat. So we just have a few days of before it, rains again and cools off again.
There you go. Well, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, it's time for school again. Our own Chef Anthony is going to help pack a lunch for you.
He is.
Yes, he is.
He is going. I dreaded going back to school. There's something about the stores even. They smell funny when you go back to school shopping. It's a terrifying smell. Well, plus summertime can be kidney stone season.
The steamy temperatures can increase the risk of a common problem, kidney stones. I'm Michael George with how you can prevent them.
It is.
And buses have become the new battleground for American politics as the issue of immigration policy hits the road. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, there's a growing political battle between Texas and New York as Governor Greg Abbott continues to send thousands of migrants from the border to Manhattan and Washington, D.C. It's part of the Republican governor's effort to criticize the Biden administration's immigration policy. Nancy Chen has the details.
As nearly 100 migrants arrived in New York City from Texas this morning, they stepped off buses and into a political firestorm. Johnny, a 38-year-old migrant from Venezuela, says he was tired and stressed during his trip, but came to the U.S. to provide a better future for his children. He's one of more than 6,500 asylum seekers already processed and released by DHS, sent by Texas Governor Greg Abbott to Washington, D.C. and now New York. The mayors of those cities calling the move inhumane, as they both asked the federal government for help.
There's nothing successful about treating people with this lack of dignity.
We have a growing humanitarian crisis that we expect, that the federal government expects is going to only worsen.
More than 165 buses have left Texas since April, leading to scenes like this at Washington Union Station. Abbott says he's sending migrants away in part to protest President Biden's immigration policies.
We're full in the state of Texas. Our communities are overrun.
Critics call it a political stunt, with families caught in the middle. Joanna left Venezuela with her children and is seeking asylum. She says, everything we endured during the journey, the sadness, the pain, the fear, and being here right now, I feel the sacrifice was worth it.
One lawyer helping migrants says not everyone wanted to end up in New York. With more buses likely coming, the city has opened 11 additional shelters to help house them. Let's look at one of today's top national stories. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We've got Chef Anthony in studio this morning from Pittsburgh High School Culinary Arts, and today we're focusing on back to school lunches. We're going to be sending our kids back to school, some of them as early as today, and some schools start next week.
That's right. We start freshman orientation next
Thursday, and then all students back next Friday. I'm very excited. I always love freshman orientation because they're so nervous and skittish, but it's always nice when you have that one teacher who tries to help them relax.
And make some cookies.
So, and I make cookies for their first day of school. So
Yeah, you can't beat that.
So with back to school coming, one of the things I wanted to focus on was lunches, because with the changes going, not every student can gets lunch at school for free. But what if you just want your kids to do something different, or if they want to change?
Yeah, and a lot of parents get stuck in the rut of just making that peanut butter and jelly sandwich or the ham and just a sandwich, and an apple.
It gets kind of boring.
You need to mix it up. Yeah.
So I love leftovers. So I always tell everybody, leftovers, 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 leftovers. And what I have is a leftover chicken breast that was smoked, and a steak that didn't get eaten, that was smoked. So we have it to try. And then I have some fresh fruits, strawberries, blueberries, grapes, some grape tomatoes, and cheese and carrots.
Okay.
So we'll balance out and create this nice little even meal to go all the way through. But first, how do you send the lunch?
Right.
So grocery stores and a lot of the other stores out there, they have little lunch kits that you can buy. This one is mine. It has a nice little sealable top on top. My silverware sits on the outside of it, and it's open on the inside. But this is a perfectly portioned lunch for what I take to school for me. So we'll use this as kind of a basis as to what we're going to make.
Okay.
So we're going to start here, and we're going to take just a little bit of beef, because a little bit of protein inside your lunch is definitely a must. Remember, we want to keep our students happy and healthy and eating so that we don't overfeed them, because what happens when you overeat?
What if they don't have a way to heat it?
Well, most schools have microwaves, but if you do leftovers like this and you're very conscious about what you put in it, then you don't have to worry about the heat, because they can eat it right out of the box.
If you are sending lunches, inquire with your school if your child has a way to heat their lunch at school. A lot of schools do, like you said.
And you'd be surprised. And at Pittsburgh, if you bring your lunch and it needs to be refrigerated, come by my room. Say, hey, chef, can I put this in your refrigerator? I always have room in the refrigerator for you to put your lunch. So
just don't take your lunch.
Exactly. Just don't take my lunch. But we want to make sure that we have things in these meals that are going to allow the students to stay fueled without overfeeding them. Because if you overfeed them, then they get sleepy and things don't quite turn out the way that we want them to.
So we have, what kind of steak was this?
This was just a sirloin steak that was smoked, and this is just a chicken breast that was smoked. I love the seasoning blends, and the hickory that he uses to smoke over at Simon Market is just absolutely wonderful. So I have a little bit of chicken.
Oh, that's what's nice about, going to a market like that, like Simon Market, is you can get you don't have to worry about smoking it yourself. You can get it.
You can tell him exactly what you want, and he'll do it for you. So, and I have a carrot here. And of course, the good old-fashioned carrot sticks. Nothing wrong with a carrot stick.
I noticed you're making everything like bite-sized.
Exactly, because everybody visits during lunch, so you don't want to make anything too terribly big. And if you don't make it too big, then they can eat with their fingers while they're there. So they just pick it up and go.
You don't have to worry about necessarily sending utensils with everything.
Correct. Not every lunch kit. I mean, I've seen some where they have silverware that are attached inside of it, but I like this one because it's strapped right onto it.
Okay.
And then we're going to throw a little bit of tomatoes in there. And we have some fresh fruit. We'll put some blueberries.
What about for carbs?
Carbs? See, that's the one thing I don't do for a school lunch. You can do it. You can throw a little bit of pasta in there if you want to along with it, instead of all the vegetables. Cooking up a ramen the night before. You remember when we did our ramen episode? You can put it in there and then microwave the whole thing.
Okay.
And reheat it back up. I don't tend to do a whole lot of carbs for lunch because it makes me tired. And I don't want to go through the last 4 hours of my day sleepy.
Okay. You need quick pick-me-up energy, proteins.
Something that's going to long burn and give me the fuel to get through the remainder of my day. So I have a couple of beautiful strawberries and, of course, some wonderful grapes. And if you want to throw something just a little bit more in there, a little cheese, We'll do you. This one's from Wisconsin. This is Hemmings. This is a Dragon's Breath cheddar. So, but you can do just about anything, but do a hard cheese like this so that you can slice it in. And some nuts will be a good addition to it. Just about anything, some granola, just about anything, as long as you're providing long burning fuels. You don't want candy in there because you don't want that quick burst. Because for my kids, they go to quick burst, that gets them to study hall. Or to study hall, and then they're crashing in the middle of it, so.
Or they can't sit in their seats in the class right after lunch.
But that's okay, because everybody has that option. But that's just a beautiful box. I mean, it's pretty, it look good to look at. And you see this one, just seal it right back up, and away we go.
There you go.
And you're good. You don't have to worry about too terribly much. I'm going to have plenty of energy to get through the rest of my day, and I'm usually there a couple hours after students leave. So if it carries me, it's definitely going to carry the student.
Okay, well, here are some great ideas, and of course you can check this out again on our website later this morning on KOAMnewsnow.com. What are we going to be doing later in the show? I know the heat's coming back in the 4 states just as school starts.
Just as school starts, we're going to do a last throw out to summer and do watermelon chillers.
Watermelon chillers. Looking forward to that.
Oh, I'm having fun with that one.
All right, be sure to stick with us and watch us on KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 as we make those watermelon chillers. We'll be right back.
Topping Health Watch this morning, more than 500,000 people make a visit to the emergency room each year because of painful kidney stones. Doctors say summer is kidney stone season, with rising temperatures increasing the risk of the common problem. Michael George has more.
Tawana Atkinson makes sure to drink plenty of water, especially on these hot summer days.
2 gallons in the course of a day, and I try to get a little extra in there if I could.
She's been upping her fluid intake after suffering a kidney stone last year.
It feels rather painful. It feels in an achy type of pain in my lower back.
It's estimated 1 in 10 people will have a kidney stone in their lives, and doctors see an increase in kidney stones in the steamy summer months because patients can get dehydrated, especially in warmer climates.
Individuals who work outside and sweat more or spend more time doing outdoor activities, exercising more, they are more likely to have more concentrated urine and thereby develop more stones or develop stones for the first time, or even increase the size of the stones that they may already have.
Dr. Deepa Maliekkal directs the Kidney Stones Prevention Center at Northwell Health.
Prevention involves increasing hydration, and that's going to decrease the precipitation of kidney stones, basically prevent those that are there from getting bigger. The other thing is trying to adopt a lower salt diet.
Once you have had a kidney stone, there's a 50% chance of developing another one within the next 5 years. Tawana needed surgery for her kidney stone, but another was diagnosed a few months ago.
They are watching it very carefully.
She's also eating more vegetables and getting more physical activity to try and reduce her risk. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Some medical conditions can also increase the risk of kidney stones, such as obesity and high blood pressure and diabetes. That's a look at one of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. And as we go through the day, temperatures warm up into the lower 90s under mostly clear skies. And we want to remind you to come see us at 5 and 6 at the Ottawa County Fair for our More Power Tour. As we go through the night, temperatures dropping once again into the 60s with some passing clouds and a light east breeze. We got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Coming up, McDonald County kicks off the school year with an eye on increased camera security systems.
A glorious start to the day today, a bit warmer as the day goes on, and more warm temperatures on the way, the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Bright Futures host a ceremony in honor of 2 fallen Joplin police officers and to fund scholarships in their names.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6:31. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. It seems no matter what I do at night, I can't get to sleep on time sometimes. And you just come in and this seems like a really good spot to nap.
Wake up,
it's just
Chris.
right here. It's a really good spot. I know everybody at home feels, that's
but you know what? Your kids will be going back to school so you can get on the same sleep schedule as them and you'll be fine.
No, let's reverse that. They're going to get on the same sleep schedule as me.
There you go.
And they'll be going to bed at a reasonable hour because they've got school and stuff. So,
like 6 p.m.
See, in order to get a full 8 hours sleep, I should be asleep by 6:30, and that never happens.
Yeah, no.
It's not possible. Not possible.
You didn't sign on to get 8 hours of sleep.
No, that was not it was not in the papers that I signed to do this. It did not say anything about guaranteed 8 hours of sleep. No. It said guaranteed be here at 4 a.m. That's about the only guarantee it gave me. And like, it's not bad. I'm not complaining. I want everybody to know I'm not complaining. I love doing this, but
I told you it would take about 3 months for you to get used to it.
Well, it's only been about a month and a half. I'll get in there. I'll get into the swing of things. Quick check outside, 7th range line. Sun's coming up, and it is a beautiful start to the day. 66 degrees in Joplin under what you can see are very clear skies. We're all starting in the 60s this morning, with the exception of Bentonville at 70. As we go through the day, temperatures warming back into the lower 90s under very clear skies. And of course, make sure you see us at the Ottawa County Fair for our 5 and 6 o'clock newscast for the More Power Tour. And as we head into the night, temperatures once again dropping back into the 60s before a big warm-up comes in. We'll talk about that warm-up here in just a few minutes.
And I guess the 5 and 6 are the only ones that are going to be live.
No, I'll be there at noon today. I'm not nearly as exciting as the 5 and 6
Hey,
crew.
if we're going to tease the 5 and the 6, let's tease you if you're live at noon. Heck yeah.
Well, I'll be there at noon as well. But when you're there at 5 and 6, you have a chance to enter to win for win a Roku TV, and you can enter to win for some Chiefs tickets.
Can you give us a little tease of what you'll be doing down there at noon?
The weather.
Oh.
I will be doing that.
So you'll know what to expect when you go down there at 5 and 6.
Yeah, exactly. You need to be prepared before you head out today.
I didn't know if you would go to the sheep show or not.
I mean, now what I do when I'm not doing the weather, I don't know yet. When I'm down there, we'll figure it out. But I mean, on the on-air side, I'm bringing you the forecast from the Ottawa County Fair.
Stay away from the ride that will make you puke.
Yeah. I don't know. That's actually makes it more enticing to go see.
All right, let's move along. Joplin's Bright Futures is honoring 2 fallen JPD officers through a scholarship. The Officer Jake Reed Memorial Scholarship and the Corporal Ben Cooper Memorial Scholarship will be for 2 Joplin High School graduates majoring in criminal justice at Missouri Southern. On Wednesday, Bright Futures hosted a ceremony where they donated more than $3,500 to each fund.
What really humbles me is that I have the opportunity in this horrible tragedy to do my part to remember them and to try to keep their story alive. And then by this scholarship, these students understanding what it is to go out and to do the job and why it's important to be professional and why it's important to be the best that you can.
Scholarship is funded from the proceeds of Bright Futures' annual Guns and Hoses benefit basketball game. With the new school year starting, McDonald County Schools are making sure they put the safety of students first. KOAM's Shagun Mamadeli has more on the story.
As the new school year approaches, McDonald school leaders are working around the clock to make sure students are safe on campus by updating their camera systems.
When you're one of the early adopters of something like security cameras, then over time they have to be replaced. So while we've had camera systems in place for a while, with updated technology and capabilities and the ability for cameras to do some of the things that they couldn't do early on, it was definitely time to upgrade.
Speaking to Ken Schuttner, the communications director of McDonald School District, he tells us why the old cameras are being replaced.
Some locations have cameras that are more than 10 years old. So in order to make sure that we're able to monitor both inside and outside the buildings, we needed new equipment and new technology. And the technology now that's available is just far and away better than what we have in the school system now.
Officials say that they will be able to access the cameras from their cell phones.
For example, the camera detects unusual activity. So maybe an area of the building that's typically quiet, but it detects a lot of noise or commotion. We'll get an alert on our cell phone and it'll let us know that that's an area that we need to immediately look at because something unusual is happening. And we didn't have that capability before.
In McDonald County, Shagun Bamdele, KOAM News.
The new cameras will give better and more clear locations and allow administration to better monitor inside and outside the schools. The district will install around 350 cameras, which includes all buildings. Barton County Memorial Park in Lamar is in the process of adding new veteran monuments. 3 of the 7 monuments have been installed so far. They are not only for area veterans, but a tribute to veterans all over the world. Joe Davis, president of the Barton County Memorial Park Board, says the idea of making the monuments triangle-shaped was a unique one.
I do the interviews, I write the articles, but I've got a lot of people behind me that help me. I definitely couldn't do it by myself. But I live in the neighborhood. 5 of our 7 board members live in the neighborhood, so it's important for all of us to see something come in here.
The monuments will be finished by the Memorial Park's opening celebration on September 17th. A Black Hawk helicopter will fly and land in the park during the celebration. Now, coming up, when we switch over to Fox 14, our own Iyan Hatula takes a closer look at the new memorial additions. Well, on this date in 2014, Oscar-winning actor and comedian Robin Williams died by suicide.
Now, Williams' first breakout performance came as lovable alien Mork from Ork on the TV series Happy Days, which quickly spun off into Mork and Mindy in 1978, but he quickly found fame on the big screen. He earned his first Academy Award nomination in the Best Actor category for the film Good Morning Vietnam in 1987, but also received Oscar nods for his performances in Dead Poets Society in 1989 and The Fisher King in 1991. He won the Academy Award in the Best Supporting Actor category for his role as a therapist in the film Good Will Hunting in 1998. Williams was 63 years old. And of course, I remember him initially as a kid from being the voice of the genie in Aladdin.
Oh, yeah.
And then got to grow and see more of his films, and he's certainly a prolific actor of our time. He was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, his film list is so long, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, the iconic toy building block Lego just turned 90 years old and celebrated with what else? A cake made entirely of Legos. You gotta see this.
Plus, load up the family roadster because we're taking a trip in today's Morning Talker. We want to know if you could travel anywhere, where would you travel? Plenty of great locations right here in the 4 states, but maybe you've got something less domestic in mind. We'll let you weigh in, and we'll be right back.
In Consumer Watch this morning, airline passengers get some financial relief, Walgreens gets a ruling from a district court judge, and Lego gets another year older. And you get the details on these stories from Matt Piper.
Air travelers are finally getting some relief on the cost of flying. The government's Consumer Prices Report says the average fare fell nearly 8% in July to $311, but that's still nearly 28% higher than a year ago. Strong demand coupled with fewer flights helped spark the rise. Airlines also blame high fuel prices. A U.S. district judge has ruled that Walgreens can be held responsible for contributing to San Francisco's opioid crisis. In his decision, the judge said from 2006 to 2020, Walgreens pharmacies in San Francisco dispensed hundreds of thousands of red flag opioid prescriptions without performing adequate due diligence. Monetary damages will be determined in a future trial. A Walgreens spokesman said the chain is disappointed in the outcome, which he said is not supported by the facts and the law. And Danish toy maker Lego went all out to celebrate its 90th birthday with a cake made from more than 94,000 Lego pieces. The cake features 9 layers, one for each decade. Lego workers crafted the spinning plastic creation. The family-owned company was founded in 1932, and its core product, the Lego brick, was first produced in its current form in 1958.
All right, that's it for Consumer Watch. So let's go over to Chris for our something to talk about.
And this morning we want to know about what your travel plans are. From Utah to Japan, there's a lot of cool things that are being discovered. In Utah, for example, these guys have discovered what's believed to be 12,000-year-old footprints still preserved in a Utah riverbed. 88 fossilized bare footprints belonging to adults and children were found inadvertently by a pair of scientists on an unrelated study in the Utah Test and Training Range, a remote military testing area. Now, experts say this is only the second set of human tracks from the Ice Age ever to be identified in what is now the United States. The other discovery was in 2021 in White Sands National Park in New Mexico. And then you get to Japan. There's a remote Japanese town that has some ancient vending machines. It's really pretty cool. Lots of them still slinging goods and goodies on the go, and those models are from, we're talking the 70s and 80s, and they got everything from food to camera film. And that brings us to our morning talk. Where's somewhere you want to travel? Is it stateside, the UK, Japan, France, Germany, other? 56% of you say you want to travel somewhere stateside. I'm right there with you. 16% say Japan, 16% say other. You can vote, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote, and of course take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. I can smell cake and melting wax. You know what that means. That smells really good too, by the way. It's our daily celebration of birthdays and anniversaries. That's coming up next. But first, we're going to hitch a ride out east and see what's happening on CBS Mornings.
I'm Nate Burleson. Coming up on CBS Mornings, David Begnaud has the inspirational story of a blind woman who overcame impossible odds to become one of the most inspirational riders in equestrian show jumping. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Sergeant Vanny Green. The Walker, Missouri native served in Germany from 1949 to 1952, is part of the M48 Armor tank crew and the food supplement supply. This highly decorated veteran earned numerous awards, including the National Defense Service Medal, 4 Army Service Ribbons, and 2 Army of Occupation medals, among many others. To Sergeant Vanny Green, we thank you, today's four-state hero.
It's Thursday morning, and it is now time to officially celebrate some birthdays, and we begin in the O Show with Alyssa Gayer, turning 20 years old today. Alyssa, very happy birthday to you.
All right, and we've got Crystal Box celebrating birthday number 28 this year in Chanute.
And we've got Mike turning 37. This comes with love from Grandpa Ronnie, Dad, Mama, and Uncle Fred. So a very happy birthday to you, Mike.
All right, and out in Erie, Kansas, Ronald and Pat Olson are celebrating their 10th anniversary this year. Congratulations to the Olsons.
And in Pittsburgh, a 32nd anniversary going for Mike and Tina Ohm. A very happy 32nd anniversary to you.
All right, and in Jasper, Missouri, Bill Craig celebrates birthday number 65 this year. Tina Jameson and McCune, happy birthday to you. And Patrick Haggerty in Frontenac, birthday wishes going out to you as well.
And a happy birthday wish from your sister, David Brown. She sends this to you over in Webb City as you turn 55 today. We've also got Walter Furry turning 53 in Webb City. And then we've got another 32nd wedding anniversary in Altamont with Richard and Mary Hayward. A happy anniversary and birthday to all of you.
All right, if you have a birthday or an anniversary, you can submit them to us through email at birthdayswithans@KOAMtv.com, or you can send them to us through our website link, and you can find that at birthdays@KOAMnewsnow.com.
And while you're on our website, take time to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. It is easy to do, and you know what happens? You get some special deals from local businesses to help you celebrate your birthday, so make sure you sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club, KOAMnewsnow.com. Now, coming up when we switch over to Fox 14, our very own Yana Hatula takes us on a trip to Barton County, Missouri to see a Veterans Memorial. It's getting some new additions. Join us for that more when the KOAM Morning News transitions over to Fox 14 at 7 a.m. And just before 7 a.m., 10 minutes before, nothing on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. I wanted to tell you about a backdoor cold front. That's going to be coming in next week. We'll chat about that in the 7-day. But traditionally, our cold fronts come in like this. A backdoor one is where it's coming in from this way. It's going to move very slowly as it gets into our area, and it's going to change up the forecast a bit. Today, the sun's starting to make its way above the tree line, 66 in Joplin right now as we start the day. We are starting in the 60s for most of us, 60 in Fort Scott. They're now the cool spot, 61 in Iola. They were the cool spot earlier. And then the warm spot still hanging on. Bentonville still sitting at 70 degrees to start the day, but not a bad start overall. Temperatures for all of us warm up into the lower 90s today and be just a pinch warmer than it was yesterday. Clear skies, though, all around for everyone. And, of course, as we've been saying, make sure you come see us at the Ottawa County Fair. I'll be there at noon, and then our entire crew will be out there at 5 and 6 tonight. Going into the night, temperatures drop off yet again into the 60s. Another cool night, maybe some passing clouds with a nice east breeze. And a look at that 7-day forecast shows us temperatures will continue to warm up as we head into the weekend. 99 Saturday, 102 on Sunday, and 103 on Monday. And then that backdoor cold front makes its way in, and not only does it bring us rain, it also brings us considerably cooler temperatures. So just a few days of groaning to get through before we get another break from the heat. You're watching the KOAM Morning News, and we'll be right back.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Kansas man convicted of performing illegal autopsies is permanently banned from doing business in the state in order to pay more than $700,000 in restitution and fines. 42-year-old Sean Parcells, who lived in Leawood and Topeka, was convicted in November for 3 felonies and 3 misdemeanors related to providing illegal autopsies in Waubonsee County. He also pleaded guilty in May to 1 federal wire fraud charge related to the autopsies. The Waubonsee County crimes took place in 2014 and 2015. His sentencing is set for September. Barton County Memorial Park in Lamar is in the process of adding new veteran monuments. 3 of the 7 monuments have been installed so far, and they are not only for area veterans, but a tribute to veterans all over the world. Joe Davis, president of the Barton County Memorial Park Board, says the idea of making the monuments triangle-shaped was a unique one. And with the new school year starting, the McDonald County school leaders are making sure they put the safety of students first by updating the school's camera security systems. The new cameras will give better and more clear locations and allow school leaders to better monitor inside and outside the schools. The district will install around 350 cameras, which includes all buildings. And St. Anne's Catholic School in Carthage partners with Notre Dame University to enhance its bilingual education program. The program focuses on teaching preschoolers how to write and speak in English and Spanish. With the Hispanic community increasing within Carthage, St. Anne's wants them to keep their roots while growing. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
It's going to be another beautiful day today and a pinch warmer than what we saw yesterday. Sun's starting to make its way up above the tree line. 66 in Joplin as we start the day. Fort Scott now officially the cool spot at 60 degrees. Iola 61, 65 in Parsons, 69 Neosho. Bentonville holding on to the warm spot at 70 degrees. And as we go through the day, temperatures will slowly warm back up into the lower 90s. And again, just a little bit warmer than it was yesterday. But clear skies all around. And of course, make sure you come see us at the Ottawa County Fair at noon, 5 and 6 for our More Power Tour. So we go through the night. Temperatures brought back into the 60s yet again, so another cool night, maybe some passing clouds and the light east breeze. And the 7-day forecast shows a warming trend that starts tomorrow, runs through the weekend. We get into the lower 100s to start next week, and then a backdoor cold front makes its way in Tuesday into Wednesday. Not only does it bring some much-needed rain chances, it also kicks those temperatures down back into the 80s. So we just have a few days of nasty heat to get through before we get yet another break and yet another chance of some of that much needed rainfall.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making a broccoli and ham quiche in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. Old Bay, one of the most beloved spices, is reinventing itself, making its way into products like potato chips to alcohol. Coming up on CBS Mornings, hear the incredible story of an immigrant with a spice grinder who started it all.
I love Old Bay. Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, speaking of spices, Chef Anthony Fisher is back in studio, okay? And he's got a recipe that's both spicy and refreshing at the same time.
Plus, see, I cut you off. I'm so sorry. Now I feel bad. I should just leave. Okay. We always recommend you stick around for a Jeannie Moose story, but she's got one today about a gorilla's fancy footwork you do not want to miss.
Oh, for sure.
That's going to wrap it up for us for now. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning, bright and early at 5 a.m.
And we'll do it all again today at noon.
Now through